European Nights is supported by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment. They continue to be a leader in their market. And visit Craig International in Abu Dhabi at the ADIPEC 2023. The guys will be on stand 14380, Hall 14. If you can, please go over and say hello. It's Frankfurt against Aberdeen tomorrow evening for the first time since season 2007-2008. Aberdeen can enjoy European group stage football once again. Kick-off tomorrow evening is at 17:45 UK time. And at the same time, Helsinki will play PAOK in our other Group G tie-up. That is how it sits tomorrow evening. We are, of course, in the Val Stadion. It will be a cauldron of noise tomorrow night. 51,000 fans or thereabouts are expected in the stadium, including hundreds of travelling Aberdeen fans. Hi everybody, a very good evening and welcome to European Nights here on YouTube. This is Ali Beg ABTV. We're looking forward to tomorrow night's big clash in Frankfurt. Now the reason that we're doing the show tonight is because I'm travelling up to the game tomorrow from my base here on the German-Austrian border. Going to be leaving at about 9 o'clock in the morning from my village here, and I'll be making my way to Frankfurt, arriving about 3 o'clock. So I know that many of you, and this is important information to pass over, if you're travelling over and you don't have your tickets yet, make your way to O'Reilly's Bar, which is just across the road from the main train station in Frankfurt. And Lynn, the supporters coordinator, will be there with all the tickets. Make sure you have photo ID. She will be there to about 4 o'clock to make sure she passes over all her tickets. So please, train, don't be late. Could you imagine? So this evening, got a couple of bits and pieces lined up for you, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome to ABTV for the first time huge Dons fan and ESPN lead commentator for the Bundesliga, Derek Ray, who gives us a brilliant lowdown on Eintracht Frankfurt and the German football model as a whole. It's a really interesting watch. We spent about 15 minutes or so chatting away from his home in America, and I'll bring that to you a little bit later. Tonight is obviously all about you as well, so please get in touch. Tell me how you're feeling 24 hours ahead of the game. What do you expect? Is it a free ticket? And what sort of formation do you think we will play? If you're enjoying tonight, don't forget to press the old like button. It just helps with the old YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I'd be absolutely thrilled if you would please consider it. Don't forget, it doesn't cost anything. And we're about 18 subscribers away from reaching 2,900. So just press that little red button. I'd be very, very grateful. Now, there is also a membership scheme here on Ali Beg ABTV, which is basically like a subscription-based service where you pay a small fee here. And what I do with that is I basically put it back into what is the business here. And with that investment from you, I'm going to be able to make some content tomorrow, and thanks to you, we will be able to do that and to hopefully bring you that content on what will be Friday evening when we do the review show. So thank you again for all your contributions. I know that many of you have recently renewed your membership scheme, so thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. So, first of all, oh, by the way, do you like the top? Let me just show you. So if I just, there, can you see that? So this shirt, let me turn around. Did you see that? So this shirt was worn by Lee Mayer against Bayern Munich in our UEFA Cup group stage game back in 2007-2008. And I was very fortunate to get it. So yeah, so it's kind of cool, right? It's starting to come off a little bit, so I need to be careful. But it's a cracker. I love it. I'm going to predict the team. So, look, tell me what you think, but this is what I think will happen tomorrow night. So, I'm going to go with a 4-1-4-1. So 4 at the back, Jensen, Gartenmann, Rubicic, and Devlin. And what I'm really hoping is that Graham Shinnie will patrol the back 4. And then into midfield, it was a toss-up for me between whether Johnny Hayes would play in James McGarry's area and he would move out. But I'm going to stick with Duke, even though he is out of form at the moment. Leighton will take care of himself, and McGrath will also, I think, start, with Bojan just playing as the sole striker. So that's what I think. I'm not sure what you guys think, but do let me know. Get in touch and leave your comments under the video. So what I found interesting was that their boss, Dino Topmuller, who Derek and I discuss in more length a little bit later, he's their gaffer. He's pinpointed Duke, Bojan and Leighton as our major threats. But what he's certainly not underestimating us, but what I found really interesting is that he does expect us to defend a little bit deeper than what we normally do. I'm actually not sure if he's seen our recent games, but I don't think we can defend any deeper than what we already are. Couple of stats for you. So only Dortmund and Napoli have beaten Frankfurt at home in their last 21 games, which is slightly worrying. But they have lost a host of very important players, which again, Derek alludes to a little bit later. So for example, they've lost Kolo Muani, who scored 23 goals last season, Diachi Kamada, Jibril So, Evan Indika, who was a centre-back, Christopher Lenz, who was a left-back, and very importantly, Jesper Lindstrom, Swedish international, who was their midfielder. So these guys were regular starters in the Frankfurt team last season. So again, very much like us, lots of new players and a very, very big squad, which again, Derek and I get to in a moment. They are unbeaten in 7 games, but only twice in those games have they managed to score more than 2 goals. They currently sit 9th in the Bundesliga. Now, I don't know if you caught the Bochum game at the weekend where they drew 1-1. Now, okay, it was played away from home, so at Bochum's ground. But Bochum very much played a high press. They just about won every second ball. And they were quite rigid when it came to not allowing Frankfurt to settle on the ball. Now, I know that it was at their home ground and you would probably expect that from a home side. But again, because Derek has seen them play so many times, he actually has a really interesting thought on how he thinks we should approach the game. So what we'll do is let me drag him in for you so that we can hear his thoughts. So there he is. I'll just put him into the system. So, welcome to ABTV for the first time. Huge Aberdeen fan and ESPN's lead commentator for the Bundesliga, Derek Ray. Hi Derek, it's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for jumping on. How are you keeping?
Good to see you, Ali. Thanks for the invitation. I'm well, bouncing around the football world, which is, I think, what we all like to do when we can. But sadly, not in position to be in Frankfurt on Thursday because of commitments in the USA this month. But c'est la vie, I'll certainly be following it very closely.
Good man. But you're hoping to get there for the return leg, right?
I will be, yes. That's the plan at the moment, to be back in December. I spent quite a bit of my time in Germany. It just so happens that Day 1 was never going to be on for me. I was really hoping for match day 2 or match day 3 in Frankfurt, but it does work out for match day 6 at Batodre, so I'll take that.
Well, the next time you're in Germany, give us a shout because we're not that far from Munich.
I know. Yeah, I'm sadly a bit far away from Austria. I'm up in the western part a lot of the time, but I'm sure we can make it happen one of these days. I
hope so. Right, let's have a wee chat about the game. So let's just talk about their league form first of all. So 1 win, 3 draws. Like us, are they also very much in a transitional period?
Very much, Ali. I think if you look at Eintracht and you look at their success over the last couple of years, the pinnacle being the Europa League final victory over Rangers, 16 months ago now. If you look at what they've done since then, it's been going down a little bit. They've had their downs to withstand. And this was always going to be a summer of, I'll give you a good German word, Umbruch. This was always going to be a transition based summer. And that goes with the territory when you lose players of the caliber of Rondal Kolo Muani. That happened very late in the transfer window, although it seemed inevitable for a while. When you lose Jesper Lundström, very pacey, nippy player. But we're talking about these two players going for a combined 125 million euro. Think about that. Think about the financial stratosphere Eintracht are operating in compared with Aberdeen. And I think we have to make that point. I think people have to know going in that we're talking about a huge financial disparity here. Daichi Kamada, another player who they lost during the summer, who was very dynamic and very influential in the creative department. Now, when you try to replace like for like players such as Kolo Muani, Lundström, Kamada, that is not easy. That doesn't just happen. But some clubs are very good at succession planning. I would say Markus Krösche, who's a very able sporting director of Eintracht Frankfurt, has come in for some criticism for maybe not replacing players like that with quality players in return. But we'll see. It's still early days. We shouldn't be too harsh. It's early in the season. And Eintracht have been the draw specialists, the 1-1 draw specialists up to this point. And an Aberdeen fan was saying to me the other day, oh, they're not playing well at all. Maybe Aberdeen have a chance. I said, well, yeah, of course Aberdeen have a chance. But this is the Bundesliga, remember. It's a very high level of football. There are no easy games. We've spoken about the financial part of it. Yes, Frankfurt are perhaps better off than most, certainly because of what they've taken in through Kolo Muani and Lundström now. But you certainly don't get, bargains in the Bundesliga in terms of victories. So all that, I think, has to be measured into the analysis. Yes, transitional, absolutely, but still potentially formidable. And they will feel that they should go very far in this Conference League.
I've noticed. So I watched the coverage against Bochum on Sunday, and there was a little piece about how big their squad is. I think it's something like 36 players in their squad, despite losing the key players that you mentioned. We've also come in for a little bit of criticism for the amount of players that we bought during the summer, but we had to because we lost so many. So I have no issues with that. But are you surprised by the numbers in their squad?
Yeah, it's a very bloated squad. There's no doubt about that. And compare and contrast with, say, Bayern, who have a frontline squad of no more than 22. But with Eintracht, it is mid-30s.
Yeah.
And they've left out a couple of players who you might say would normally be in UEFA-type squad. Philipp Max is not there. Lucas Alario is not there, but he's never really settled into life in Frankfurt after his move from Leverkusen at the beginning of last season. But yeah, it's a big squad. Now, of course, that also means that you're in a position to change things quite radically from game to game, which they may elect to do. It's a bit of a mystery at the moment what sort of team Dino Topmüller, new coach this season, also part of the transition with Oliver Glasner having left. It's a bit of a mystery in terms of what first 11 he'll put out. But the one thing about having this big squad is that you have room for maneuver and you can make a change within the squad, this player for that player in certain positions. You have somebody like Makoto Hasebe, who's going to be 40 in January. Think about that. An outfield player who's going to be 40 in January stands to become the oldest ever for Eintracht Frankfurt. And he's somebody you can slot in perfectly in the center of defense, reads the game wonderfully, and is a joy to watch. I sometimes just choose to watch him for 2 or 3 minutes if I'm at a Frankfurt game, and you can see just exactly what he's doing to read the game. So it's a strong squad out of necessity. Some might say overly bloated, but of course when you have the demands that they have, they might feel it's necessary.
You mentioned Topmüller, their coach. Obviously he's got very high pedigree. You don't become Julian Nagelsmann's assistant at both Leipzig and Munich if you're not a decent coach. So what sort of formation do you think he might play against us?
Well, Dino Topmüller, again, the background is interesting because his dad, Klaus, was the coach of Eintracht when
That's
they
right.
had what
Yeah.
looked like a very successful season back in the early 90s. Started like a house on fire, their best ever start, and then they completely fizzled out, and he was out of a job. But people might remember him as the man who took Leverkusen to the Champions League final in 2002, that famous Zidane night at Hampden Park.
Mm.
And so, he's a coach who's very highly thought of in Germany, and Dino is his son. So because of his dad's backgrounds, he grew up in Frankfurt. He knows the city. He's a son of the area, if you like. So he was always the perfect fit in many respects. Once it emerged that Oliver Glasner wasn't going to stay, and Glasner will always go down in history as one of the great Eintracht coaches for what he did in the Europa League. But he does seem to have a habit of at a certain point falling out with the club that he's working for. Similar thing happened in Wolfsburg. And so Dino Topmüller, as you said, was right-hand man to Julian Nagelsmann in Leipzig and then at Bayern. And he's an interesting guy to listen to. His ideas about football are quite advanced, I think. In terms of how they're going to play, they favour a back three. That was the case under Glasner as well. They haven't really deviated from that. And that means they have players who can come in, who are not in the first team on one day, can come in and replace others. I mentioned Hasebe. He is one such player. And it often sort of amounts to what you might call 3-4-3.
Yeah.
It can be 3-4-1-2, depending on sort of how they want to configure the attack. But it's usually, a couple of hard-working players in midfield, bit more flair going up and down the flanks with wing backs, and then I think we have to talk about Mario Götze, who everybody remembers as the man who scored the winning goal in the World Cup final in 2014. Feel a bit sorry for him because he went through some health challenges after that and bounced back finally in the Netherlands with PSV. And it was on the strength of that Eintracht saw him as somebody who could help them out. And the reason they wanted to sign him, Ali, was that they felt that they weren't good enough at home against deep-sitting opposition. So he was brought in to try to change that for the better, to try to make them more versatile, more variable. Got a lovely range of passes. Of course, he does tend to, it's interesting, he'll start in the middle, but often go out wide a little bit. And I'm sure Aberdeen will have done their homework on Götze because he is the man who can make them tick. Does get himself into trouble for yellow cards for dissent. And that's because he's fouled quite a lot and he tends to get into the faces of referees. And this has been a talking point in Frankfurt that he did it too often last season, got himself suspended towards the end of the campaign. They were a bit lucky to make it into Europe, it has to be said. That looked in doubt for a long time, but they're in the Conference League and they're not there just to make up the numbers. This is not a team. You sometimes see this with English teams, don't you? When they get into Europe, but maybe not in the competition they want to be in, or they have other priorities and they don't take it as seriously as you might think. Eintracht will be taking this very seriously. And for Dino Topmüller, it's important because it's his first European tournament as a head coach.
Yeah. Look, I'm going up. I'm looking forward to it. I'm slightly nervous about what's going to happen on the pitch. I do think we have a little bit of a free ticket, I've got to be honest, with our recent performances. But how do we get at them, Derek? What do you think would be the best plan?
Well, I think from an Aberdeen point of view, I do think, and I said this earlier on, if Frankfurt have a tendency to get frustrated, it is against deep-sitting teams who are really compact. And I mean really compact. I don't mean just sitting in and sort of, not doing much else, but really having a plan. And that often means forcing them wide, but clotting the centre.
Yeah.
And it maybe isn't great to watch from an Aberdeen point of view. But if Aberdeen can frustrate, for a period of time and then use the counter-attack and use a set play, that can ruffle feathers. I've seen it happen with Eintracht on a few occasions when you think, they're the better team, they have more of the ball. They will have more of the ball in this game. I think everybody recognises that. So for Aberdeen, I think it's about that. I don't think it's about going out there and pressing them really high. I don't think that is going to be the way of playing that will work against Eintracht. So I would say defense first, try to keep it at 0-0 for as long as you possibly can. The difficulty is if you concede an early goal there, it can really signal the floodgates being forced wide open. So I think that's what to look for. Defensively, they're not always watertight. I've watched, for example, they have a new player, William Pacho, who's joined, who's very promising, but he has mistakes in him and, still just a little bit raw, prone to the odd lapse in concentration. They have Tuta, Brazilian, who I think is very good, very robust, sometimes overly robust. But, we'll see what team Dino Topmuller picks. But I think, first and foremost, keep it tight. I would say try to take the atmosphere out of it, but that doesn't apply in Frankfurt. That might apply in a British stadium where we've all been in stadiums in Scotland and England where it's loud at the start and then the performance means it gets quieter. In Frankfurt, in Germany, full stop, that doesn't happen. And this is something Aberdeen fans will notice, is that the noise is incessant. You don't have rises and falls. It's just complete noise from start to finish, and that's all choreographed by the fans in the Nordwestkurve. That's the loudest part of the stadium behind the goal, opposite where the Aberdeen fans will be.
I have so much respect for their flag bearers because they don't stop for 90 minutes, and they are the biggest flags I've ever seen at football matches.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. And that is part of it. And, this is, people often, we're getting into sort of, different terrain when we talk about it, but I think it's worth talking about. People often say to me, 50+1 in Germany, you're always saying how great it is, but doesn't it hold German football back from a financial point of view? Well, I don't know that it actually does, but even if it did, German fans don't want to lose this aspect of their football. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is most of the clubs are run by the fans, at least in terms of the majority. So an investor from outside can't come in and treat the club like his personal toy. The fans have the majority in terms of, democracy, in terms of having a say in how the club is run. And that leads to things like lower ticket prices. You and I were talking about how reasonably priced it all is to get into the game. Things like public transport being part of your match ticket within a defined local area. All these things that are done to help fans. And it's because at the very core in German football, you have 50+1 and fans are decision makers, not customers. They are not customers. German fans don't like it at all if somebody says, we are the customers. No, we're not the customers. We are part of the decision-making process. And part of that is the atmosphere that comes over. And as I say, it can be intimidating. It can be inspiring.
Yeah. It's a model that I've been banging on for ages, and I hope you concur that we should be looking at and following. I really do.
Well, I think part of the problem in Scotland is that we take our lead from England. And I don't mean that, taking your lead from England is necessarily automatically bad, but we're comparing apples and oranges in terms of English football and Scottish football these days. When we were a lot younger, that wasn't the case. There wasn't a great deal of difference, say, in the 1980s between English football and Scottish football. But things have changed since then. And Scottish football, to me, for years, chased this kind of English-style dream, tried to copy what England was doing on all levels, instead of looking at other models. And, during that same period, Germany came up with a model that works for Germany. And a lot of it is tied into society at large. I think there is more solidarity within German society. It's not as, let me say, capitalistic a society as the UK has become. So it does fit that, societal norm and way of living. But I think in Scotland, we have seen it, haven't we, with what Motherwell have done to an extent, and Hearts trying to go down that road. But we still sort of, I get annoyed when I hear fans saying, let's hope a rich person comes in and bankrolls us. And I'll say, well, that's not a great ambition to have, is it? And in Germany, they don't much worry about that. Yeah, you have investors, but the investors are generally local investors who are part of the fabric of communities, and they come in and they invest on that basis. They don't come in to try to take over the club and impose, their will on the club. They work in tandem with the fans in the case of 50+1 run clubs.
Derek, it's been fantastic getting you on. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the channel tonight. And listen, continued success. Love listening to your work on ESPN, and I hope you have a fantastic season. So thank you.
No, thank you, Ali, and maybe we'll see each other at Batodri in December. I hope so.
I really hope so. Take care, Derek. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, mate.
Bye,
see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for coming on, Derek. It was absolutely lovely to see him and lovely to catch up as well. One of the best commentators out there. So it was very interesting what he had to say about how we should definitely approach tomorrow's game. So let me know what you think. So let's get to your comments now. This part of the show is called Red All Over. So let's open up YouTube and see how you're all doing. Okay, so Mark Gibson. Hi, Mark. How you doing? I hope you're still on. I have no idea what's happened on Twitter. Get in touch and just let me know what your handle is and I'll try and sort that. I've got no idea what's happened, so I do apologise. It certainly wasn't meant. Dandy Don has said, good evening, Ali. I'm dreading the match tomorrow night. Kaiser is on, wishing everybody a good evening. Mark Robertson has said, good day, everybody. Simon Roy has said, good evening, Ali and fellow Reds. John Moore is here. He's saying slightly optimistic. First and foremost, a better performance is a must. Yes, it will be difficult, but we must see more passion and drive and more heart. Matthew Cool has wished everyone a good evening. Hi, Matthew. I hope you're well. Kaiser has said, I'll be honest, if we come away with a 2-0 loss, I'll accept that. It's just because we're away, the way that we're playing. It could be a right hiding. That's what a lot of folk are so worried about. Duncan Wright is wishing me a good day out tomorrow. Honestly, I can't wait. I'm so looking forward to it. He will be there with everybody else in spirit. Unfortunately, he's working the night shift, but he's hoping to pick up the game before he goes. My team pick much the same as yours. Alan Nicholas said, can you pass your formation on to Barry for tomorrow? If he doesn't play 4 at the back, it will be a bad night. Graham Findlater has said, will be a very, 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 very tough game. Kaiser said, if Robson sticks to his guns with this 3 at the back, we will get absolutely murdered. I have to be honest, I just cannot see him playing 3 at the back tomorrow night. It would be football suicide, I think. He's got to protect us because they will come at us tomorrow. 100% they will. They're going to have a... I don't know if any of you have ever been to the Waldstadion before. It is a cacophony of noise, which is absolutely deafening at times, but it makes for an absolutely brilliant atmosphere. And they are going to get absolutely right behind their team tomorrow night because European football for them is a big, big deal. So we have to try and frustrate them, as Derek alluded to in our chat. Derek Griffiths is here. Hi, Derek. He's wished everyone a good evening. Hoping for a decent performance and not a tanking. League form is totally letting us down. Andy B has said, expect a cautious approach tomorrow with wing-backs playing deeper and making it a back 5. Neil Strachan, has said, I think the score tomorrow night will be 1-0 to us. Scorer Miovski, come on you Reds. Good man, Neil. Forbes McFarlane has said, we've got to keep the faith. It's Aberdeen. Watch this. We'll get a result. Come on, you Reds. Simon Roy is also predicting a sneaky 1-0 win for the Dons with Duke scoring the goal. Gray Pilgrim has wished everyone safe travels. Come back with 3 points, he's asking. Stand free. Kaiser has said that Eintracht Frankfurt will be as good as any of the top 8 sides in England, possibly. Mick Mackey has said, believe, work hard and do the best that you can. Giving this, we can't complain. Hayden Ritchie has said, who knows that we might get a result and it could kickstart our season. Come on you Reds, he says. Forbes McFarlane has said, just harass this team. They don't like it. Get in their faces. I agree. Al Mitchell likes the top. Hope you're enjoying it. I like it as well. It's a prized possession, I have to say. Looking forward to seeing what Barry does with the squad tomorrow. Hoping this is going to be the start of our season at last. Come on, you Reds. Kaiser has said the speed of their passing and moving could be the problem. While we're at it, I know that the team have obviously made their way to Frankfurt late this afternoon. So they should be there by now. Just let me have a quick look on Twitter and just let me see, because I know that Scott Burns is heading to the press conference tonight. So it is currently 8:30 in the evening here, but I can't see anything yet. So I'll keep an eye on that before we finish off tonight to see if Barry does actually give his press conference tonight, which I'm fully expecting him to do. Graham Klein has wished everyone a good evening. Going to be tough to get anything, but would be typical to sneak a result or to get a hammering. Let's hope they put up a fight. Kaiser is saying that Mario Götze is past it. So, as I mentioned before, so I watched them on Sunday, and I have to say he's very much a threat. He will be. He likes to sort of dictate the play, but I have to say, for me, he drifted in and out of that game on Sunday. So depending sort of who played, well, it'll be McGrath. It'll be Jimmy McGrath. So if he can sort of get in about and peck away at him, annoy him, Nicky Devlin not allow him to sort of get any space and room sort of on Mario Götze's left-hand side, because he sort of likes to drift in and around there. That's why he was playing on Sunday. So if we can just pick away at him and just annoy him and frustrate him, I think he'll drift out of the game. Neil McDonald had said, think our season ends with the county game on Sunday. Unless the board back the boss, maybe take Dodds in as a support. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Billy Dodds obviously just got sacked as the Inverness Cali Thistle manager. Kaiser has said, energy and fitness tomorrow will really need to be at the top level. No tiredness tomorrow. He's wishing. Absolutely. Don't give us that excuse tomorrow. VK has said, don't keep giving the ball away, which we were so guilty of against Hearts on Saturday. Sorry, just let me get back up. Sousa said, what will be, but she wishes she was going. Forbes McFarlane has said, that's a good shout, Neil, about Billy Dodds. Alan Nicol really enjoyed the chat with Derek Ray. He's so good, isn't he? He's so good. Callum Benzes is here. Hi, Callum. Given how we have played of late, and especially against Hearts, it seems like it will only go one way. Hopefully, I'm wrong, and the flight hasn't been too tiring on the team. If it is, dearie me, it won't be. It's only what? I think it's about an hour and a half to Frankfurt, if my memory serves me correct. It's not that far. An hour and 45 minutes? It really isn't. Let's put it this way. From Salzburg to Frankfurt is 45 minutes. So it'll be about an hour and 45 minutes. Forbes McFarlane is asking, do we play Ruby, as in Slobodan Rubicic? Kaiser has answered the question. He says Ruby will need to play. Basically, he's the only defender that's been playing regularly. I have to say, I would stick him in, as I mentioned at the top of the show. I actually thought he did well against Hearts, so I don't have an issue with him playing. Just keep your head, fella. David Scott says, hopefully we can be solid and keep ourselves in the game. John McDermott, in relation to the team, has said, I'd stick Devlin alongside Shinnie. It's not just at the back we need strengthening, it's the middle four also. Forbes McFarlane says Connor Barron has got to play. SITV Network has said, I bought a ticket, but I haven't got my email yet from the club. SITV, check your spam, because I got 2 emails from the club confirming my ticket and just some sort of match information, which both ended up in my spam folder. So check in there, mate. Or junk, whatever it's called these days. Kaiser said, if Miofsky and Duke get service, they can certainly do damage. I completely agree. Dandy Dawn has said, no chance we're getting anything out of this match. We are honking. Grey Pilgrim has said, can we get Jim Bett in his prime to play this game, please? Pretty please. What a player he was, Jim Bett in his prime, huh? Kaiser has said, that was a joke about Götze, so the man is top class. He's still only 31. He is, mate. He is. But, as I said, guilty of drifting in and out of games. Kilted Warrior has said, I've got a feeling we're going to win this game 2-1. So George Rutherford has come on. Hi, George. Thanks for this. This is an interesting one. So he says, I hope I pronounced this correct. Carpathia Fokker landed 1847 in Frankfurt. That's obviously the flight. Like Newcastle United in Milan on Monday, would get a warning from UEFA if not in time for the scheduled press conference this evening. Okay, so SITV Network, do we collect the tickets in Frankfurt or at the ticket office? I did get confirmation, but nothing about a ticket. Right, mate. So what you have to do, just let me confirm this. So if you're going tomorrow, you have to get yourself to, I just want to double check that I don't get this wrong. It is O'Reilly's Bar. Just let me make sure I get, so it's O'Reilly's Irish Pub, which is directly across the road from the main train station in Frankfurt. Just let me give you the name of that, which is called Hauptbahnhof. Hauptbahnhof. So just when you come out the station, look for wherever the bar is. Lynn will be there up until 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon local time. So that's where you'll be able to get your tickets. For anyone else that's going tomorrow, just a couple of bits of information, which I'm sure you've seen already, but it's well worth reiterating the point. So the stadium is about 5 kilometres from the city centre. But there are many, many trams and trains that actually take you there, and your ticket allows you basically free travel on these trains. So you have to get on the S8 or the S9 in the direction of Mainz or Wiesbaden, or line S7, which goes towards Godelau. Get off at the stop Stadium. The stadium from there is roughly 800 meters through the forest, hence why it's called Waldstadion, Forest Stadium. So hope you get sorted, SITV. Forbes McFarlane has said, basic football, just try and keep the ball, play 2 in front of the defence, Shinnie and Devlin. Okay, SITV, no problem at all. Right, guys, so I'm going to call it a night. So, obviously heading towards the game tomorrow, going to do as much filming as I can, and I will obviously try and bring that to you on Friday in what will be the review show. So, I know that hundreds of Aberdeen fans have already made their way to Frankfurt. I know that hundreds are already in the city, and hundreds more are making their way across to Germany tomorrow. So please do have a fantastic journey, have a safe journey, and I really hope to see so many of you tomorrow night. I'm up in the gods in the standing area, so that's where I'll be standing and cheering on the boys. Can't wait. I'm so looking forward to it. And I just hope for a great occasion, and you just never know. I just hope we get something from the game. It's a free ticket as far as I'm concerned. So guys, enjoy the next couple of days. Enjoy the game tomorrow. And I'll see you all again on Friday night. Take care. Stand free.